All right. What up?
I mean, welcome back to another episode of Game Plan the Podcast. I'm your host, Davis Cole, joined as always by co-host and producer Juice.
Hey.
We're back, baby.
We're back. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. What is our excuse for being gone? We were going to change some things. And then we
were
paused
gonna
that
change
plan,
some things.
and then we made another plan.
And we still are. Oh yeah.
We are.
Yeah. We still are gonna change some things. We have a lot of ideas that we have yet to fully or partially execute on.
But if you're watching this, you've been there at least from the beginning. So thank you for coming back. And
100%.
We'll be rolling these podcast episodes out as we can. If you can check out Game Plan Audible, Juice has been posting tons of training clips at Fight Factory. Some
Not
over
even
at Val.
training clips, bro. It's like
Full classes.
It's just straight up.
Be a
up
fly on the
classes.
wall for when we're training.
And it's very literally, yeah. I just suction cup, just.
Gross. I hope you're listening with headphones on so you can really get the full effect there.
Yeah.
Which also turns out if you have a bald head like Juice, the suction cup for the glass also works on the dome.
I need that video from Joey. I think Joey has it.
Where he's videoing you.
He's videoing
while
me. Suction.
I want both split screen.
But it wasn't running.
We gotta just do the whole class with it suction cup to the top of your head.
We'll just do it.
We did that a while back with, I guess it wasn't even GoPros. It was just like different harness attachments for like a phone, either on your chest or on your head. And I posted like an Instagram reel, and it's like so jarring because it's too fast. So it's like those movies where they try to do like the handheld camera
like,
style of a film, but then like when you're watching it, it's just a little too much shake.
Yeah.
You know? I can't remember another one. I think there was like a Hardcore Henry that really, it was like first person point of view or something. But I'm all down for different creative ideas, but
Hold on.
A lot of people can't watch that stuff.
You said Hardcore Henry?
Yeah, I think that was the name of it.
Is this like an action movie?
I want to say so, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, he's like dual wielding pistols and stuff, and you see it like from his point of view.
Okay.
But it's just super like shaky the whole time, and it'd be just like
It's
if you
just
were
too
wearing
much.
that thing. Yeah,
Fucking
way too much.
made me dizzy. I'm a bitch. I don't know what you're about to say, but speaking of being a bitch, it was my birthday yesterday.
Okay, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Everybody say happy birthday to Juice.
Your boy. Very, very low key. I don't know. I get a little bit weird on my birthday. Like one half of me is like, yay, I want to celebrate, like hang out with basically everybody. But also the other half of me is like, oh, like I get like reclusive. I don't know. It's weird. But it was just my lady and I. We were hanging out. I wanted to watch a movie.
Finally.
Yeah. All the fucking movie references.
Yeah, dude. You need to study up so you can get all the things that I think of every time you're talking.
I wanted to watch a movie. Backtrack or rewind a good bit. Sinners came out. I didn't even know it was a horror movie. Since I've been picking up cameras and like working with all of this shit, I seen a lot about it and it made me want to go watch it. And I did, and it was dope. Didn't even know it was a horror movie. Wasn't that scary. So everything's fine. Right? After that, I've been going to the movies a lot more. Really enjoying it.
Oh, so this was more last year for the Sinners thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Been watching a lot more movies, really enjoying it, taking a lot of inspo, taking a lot of techniques, blah, 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 blah. And then 2 movies came out recently-ish. One of them, Backrooms, which is, I guess, a horror movie. I saw it. I thought it was really good. It was like, it wasn't that scary. It was just like hella eerie, creepy, weird type.
One psychological.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of what fucks me up the most. Like, I don't know if I was talking to you about it this morning, or no, it was like Lewis and Mike. It's not like the jump scares that fuck me up. I mean, maybe it fucked me up a little bit,
They give me, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
super vulnerable to that. Yeah, it's going to work.
But experiencing the movie and all of that stress at the time is fine. I'm perfectly for that. It's when you go home. You go home late at night, lights are off, fucking walking by mirrors, tree casts a shadow through the window. That's the shit that fucks me up, man. So I watched a movie last night that I've heard great things about. Seen a lot of like the BTS about it and the production, low budget film, blah blah blah, doing really well. It's called Obsession. I don't know if you've seen it. I highly suggest it. Maybe I'm a big bitch. I'm definitely a big bitch. I'm a big bitch. Oh, that shit fucked me up, man. That fucked me up. But it was really good. I'm a big fan. But I don't think I'm gonna watch a scary movie in a little while.
Do you take it like into your dreams at all?
Not yet.
No.
And I hope I don't.
Yeah.
But I do get some fucked dreams.
Because I know for some people, it's like if you watch that stuff right before you go to bed and like you're kind of like a lucid dreamer, it just like gets into your dreams. And then now you're having like horror dreams.
Yeah. Which I don't want that. I have had, or like relatively frequently, maybe like once every 2 weeks or once a month or something like that, I'll have kind of a pretty shitty dream, and Megan will like slap me, because I'm just like in bed, and it's one of those where like I guess it's kind of lucid, I don't know, but like I'm trying to like scream or trying to yell or something, and like I'm trying to move and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But to her, I'm just like mumbling and like, making some noise and shit. She's like, fuck up.
Have you ever fought in your dreams? Because there's this thing where like you're talking about trying to scream or something, where like you're trying to fight, but like your arms don't work like they would normally would, and like they feel real heavy, and they like you kind of miss a lot. Dude, speaking of like the creative, just different cameras, angles, all of like cinematography, vlogger, videography, like just all of that. It's been cool to see the tech get so much better. Shooting in 4K, got the option to shoot in 6K. How cool is that? But then seeing all these young kids that are like going and getting like the handheld camcorders that like our parents would have had at Christmas or something like that. And now they're shooting like modern things. So Thursday Night Jiu-Jitsu recently, one of the guys from Triple Threat Jiu-Jitsu in Marble Falls, Xavier, had someone shoot him on like an old school one.
Sick.
And then they showed like a little, maybe on an Instagram story of just like a snippet of them editing it. So you still see the same like editing software and timeline, but then when it comes out, it's that like old school grainy style. And it's just so funny that like right as we hit where the tech can make it look better than my eyes can see,
go back.
Then we go back to people because it has that like vibe to it.
It has like a like a texture.
Yeah. And honestly, it came out looking really cool because you know what it looks like inside like the Thursday Night Jiu-Jitsu 10th Planet. It's kind of dark. So it looked pretty dark.
I've actually never been. I've only seen it.
Dude, we got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go. It's a really cool gym, especially I haven't seen it since they expanded the mat space even more. So they've definitely got like the most mat space probably in Texas, if not definitely in Austin. Yeah.
Do you know what the biggest gym is like of mat space?
No, but it feels like that would be like kind of an easy flex from a gym.
Yeah.
Like definitely somebody has it.
Most square footage of mat space in the United States or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think those like wrestling rooms really trump a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms because like I'm sure you've seen pictures of it where it's like the steel frame building and it's just like matted out. So I think
imagine cleaning that.
Dude, I bet they don't. Not thoroughly. Not every square inch.
That's gross.
Yeah. But like wrestlers wear shoes, so I think they have like a little different attitude towards like how exactly clean it should be. So yeah, the mat cleanliness.
I'm worried about staph on my knees.
Yeah, protect yourself at all times, man.
You know what I mean? That's where I get that shit, man. Just fucking goop some mussy on there.
Is this the concert shirt?
Yeah, but
from the Freedom 250 card that you did not watch.
Yep. That's the one. That's the one. Dude. I went to a show and I saw Yeba last Sunday or some shit instead of watching UFC Freedom 250. I heard great things.
We're gonna get.
But I also had a good ass time. So
yeah, we're gonna get to that. I'm gonna pick on more of your articles of clothing before we do. But
half of my articles of clothing are yours, so go for it.
No, but you're still rocking the B team of basketball, the Spurs hat, you know?
Wow! Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't have that one ready. It just came in the moment.
That was
but
really good.
Yeah.
I commend you. Fuck you, but I commend you. No, it's fine.
They made it. Is there any kind of like, oh, at least they're in the finals? They're a
When
solid
they
team.
won the Western Conference Finals, it felt like they secured the chip straight up. It was dope. It was a good ass time. Definitely didn't expect the finals to play out as it did. We watched game one, and I mean, I don't know. As the Spurs do, they do really well, like in the first quarter, even the second, and then third and fourth, they kind of drop down, which I think was the story of every game in the finals that they had. They were up 20 points, 30 points, 15 or something like that, and then they just lost the lead and got overtook towards the end. But that's okay. It's fine. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. We're a young team. I've been wearing this hat for a lot of years, and I am happy to continue to wear it. We're a young team. The Knicks took it. It was well deserved. Um, Fans gotta calm down.
Yeah, out of
Yeah,
control,
like
man.
fuck, man. That's
It's
don't
so
really
crazy
support
how
that.
fast it goes from like being about the sport to just like, you're from a different state and city and we're gonna all mob you and attack you just because you're wearing the wrong jersey. I think it goes a little bit both ways, right? Like I saw a lot of Spurs fans getting attacked in New York, but like I'm sure that there were some Spurs fans attacking some Knicks people that were showing out in Texas. I don't know, but I did see the one Spurs dude just start like throwing
Spurs
some heaters
Thanos.
back. Yeah, dude. And he's just the one man in there.
And he's like parting the sea wherever he goes. It was insane.
And there's like one police officer kind of comes up behind him like, I kind of have your back, but we're
bro,
both pretty
like,
outnumbered right now.
Come on.
And then I saw another one where like
do
the helpful Knicks fans are like ripping the Spurs jersey off of a guy while he's all bloodied up. And they're like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude.
That's wild. I've never been to New York. I've always wanted to go.
Not shitting on Knicks fan and shitting on New York, but they did seem to do a lot of really cool celebrations. And like I love seeing like a city celebrate after a big sports victory. It's always like fun parades and stuff. But yeah, there was some crazy moments from people getting attacked out there.
Yeah.
All right. So Freedom 250, I was like super just kind of confused. Why did this need to happen? Like so many different things kind of coming together. It's like you got the Trump administration plus Dana White UFC. I'm stoked that America happens to be hitting its 250th birthday. That's awesome. Congratulations. We're like a young country, 250s at least, getting somewhere. So I just wasn't sure, like, if you're familiar with Greg Jackson, he's one of the greatest MMA coaches of all time. And he like opted out of going. So he had like some athletes competing and he didn't go corner them. So like already there, it's like, okay, this is one of the most well-respected coaches in the game. And he feels this like weird political conflict and just sat it out. And so like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I kind of feel you. Cause if you go and you attend, I do think there's some people that are going to immediately assume that you're just like some kind of MAGA Trump supporter. And then it's like to some guy at the UFC, that was just their day at work, So kind of a weird event. However, with the weather aside and all of like the security of having to actually figure out how to make this work, the coolest thing about it to me was the claw, where they made that 4-point like structure on top of the cage in the lawn. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, so it's like a dome essentially, but it's just 4 points. And I think that was just how they could like rig up all the cameras and lighting and stuff, and to cover it. So I guess it would at least cover the octagon itself. And my take on that was like, man, where is this just outside of the White House lawn? Because I know people have a lot of reservations about fighting outside, because of weather. And then also just like it's different environment. But I think that given the right time of the year in the right locations, we could totally be doing some outdoor events. And that claw seems like the perfect thing to apply to an outdoor event. And I don't know if it was created just for this Freedom 250 card or not, but I would love to see the claw again. I like that part. I think that was sick. And then I think
MVP goes to claw.
What I think made it almost like underhyped as a card was because of all this fact that it's at the White House and it's mixed in with the Trump administration. Is if you just took the fights on this card on another UFC card, I think it would build way more hype.
Yeah.
You know, you had a lot of big names throughout the whole night. But I think that it just turned a lot of people off. And so I think a lot of people were just like not even worried about it that are actually a little bit of normal fans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tricky. But I love that the fighters came out to fight. There was a lot of quick finishes. Each fight was super exciting. I've been a super long time fan of Derek Lewis, but it was one of those fights where I'm like, I don't know if it's his back injuries and that kind of cuts into his ability to train. But Josh Hokett moved to 10-0 against Derek Lewis on this card, and Derek just looked rough, man. He seemed to gas within the first like 90 seconds. Couldn't really grapple on the feet. It wasn't that normal like H-Town swing and bang. He looked a little hesitant, and he's had that happen in his career, and then he kind of bounced back from it. But I've known that injuries have kind of plagued his whole career. Mm-hmm. And, you know, all that being said, he still got the leading record for the most knockouts in the UFC.
Do you know what it is?
I think 16. So even with the losses, he's taken some tough L's. Yeah. No one has ever knocked out more people on a UFC card than Derek Lewis.
Is it close?
I don't think so. There's
what do you think?
I think there's some other people that are closer to like the teens. But I mean, it's just so few of the UFC fighters can get even clean knockouts, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw this. I don't love it, but so, you know, there's all this stress about the card, right? It's on the White House lawn. It's going to thunderstorm. But then once I'm actually watching it, aside from the pacing being painfully slow, it was going pretty smooth, right? And then
did it look normal? I haven't even seen any of it, but did it look like a normal UFC event in like a stadium?
Generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah.
The walkouts were kind of funny. But overall the production was pretty normal. But I was kind of waiting to be cringed out, where I'm just kind of like got my like blinders up, like, oh, is there something that's gonna make me like hate this or something?
Yeah.
It went really great until Hokett's post-fight speech was like the most cringy moment. And he's like, Michelle Obama's a man. Am I right, America? And like, even you can sense live, the audience was like, it's like, we're on the White House lawn. This is a former first lady. There's like the conspiracy about Big Mike. I get that. There's like a sub conspiracy / maybe a little bit of political ideology that likes to, you know, push that conspiracy or whatever. But it's like, dude, this is the biggest win of your career. And you're just going to say something dumb. Like it's tricky because we're talking about it right now. So Hokett puts himself out there in a way where he gets people to talk about him. And maybe he knew his fight with Derek Lewis was like, whatever. So he's going to do something to catches people's attention.
Was that a quick win for him?
It was in the second round.
Knockout?
Yeah, I think TKO. Yeah, so Matt Brown is the next closest at 13. And I don't know if you know Matt Brown, but he's got some nasty elbows. So Matt Brown's also one of those, like, I would guess, like 2 decades active in the UFC or something crazy like that, like just tons of fights. And then behind that's Anderson Silva at 11. So
what weight class is Matt Brown?
I want to say welter. But then Dustin Poirier is tied for 3rd with Anderson Silva at 3 and Max Holloway.
Dang.
But I mean, that means that Max Holloway's got to get 6 more KOs to take the title. I don't know if he's got that left in his career.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, Hokett on his previous fight where he had, like, the greatest heavyweight fight in the UFC. I want to say we brought it up on here. But
who was it against?
It was Curtis Blades and Josh Hokett, 3 5-minute rounds, and all 5-minute rounds, they're just blasting each other. And Hokett was getting the best of him the whole time, but Blades was just like being dumb tough and not going down. Every once in a while he'd kind of throw something back. But it was just really exciting. And then I'm like, still, I don't know if I like this Josh Hokett guy. He's kind of like, his fighting style is crazy. He's constantly giving people the bird the whole fight. Just every reset, he's just fucking with them. And then when he got on the post-fight speech, then he had like this poem prepared that was like this rhyme. And it was like kind of like Chael Sonnen used to do back in the day with like this pre-rehearsed rhyming speech that he gives. And when it's done, he just like finished his speech and walked away. It wasn't like an interview, you know?
When did the Michelle Obama's a Man come out?
So this time he didn't do that.
Okay.
I think the entirety of the Freedom 250 card kind of threw him off of his whole like shtick of having this character persona that's like this wild.
Oh, he would do the rhyming thing before, not this. Not
yeah, he
Freedom.
did it on his previous fight.
Yeah, gotcha.
So like this time around, when it hits to like the press conference, he's like fluctuating in and out of character.
Huh.
And then he'll be like, oh, but I actually like respect Derek Lewis and like it's gonna be a good fight or whatever, you know. And then like other times he's like the Pit Vipers and American flag bandana on, you know. Yeah. So then this time around, like it just looked like he was still fluctuating in between personalities with Rogan on the interview, and then was like, I gotta say something crazy. And then like you can see Joe and Josh kind of wrestling for the mic, you know, and Josh is so much bigger and Joe's like trying to pull the thing back. And I'm sure that they were just like, all right, what the hell? And you know, the UFC is extremely outspoken on like freedom of speech. So I'm not trying to knock that he can't say that. And I'm kind of on like Dana White's side where it's like, you just don't say nasty things about people's families. But it's also like, if I was at your house and I said something about someone in your family, it's a little different than if I say it to you on here, you know, like you're at the White House lawn. They used to live here. Like, it just seems like a unnecessary jab. But at the same time, for like just comedic sake, like, all right, you did something completely out of the ordinary. I think he thought it was going to get like a big pop in the crowd of like, we all hate the Obamas. And it was just kind of like,
and it was just more just like, why do fighters in particular feel, it seems like some fighters feel a need to stir shit up like that?
That was why I brought this up, is because it feels like it's like just part of like TikTok brain, where like regardless of his performance, he's like, we just all have to get these viral moments. And so he knew that would catch people's attention, get blasted in articles, and force other reporters to have to go ask Dana White in the post-fight press conference, like, hey, what the hell's going on with Hokett, you know? So I do think
it's just
that
more like
it's just like
SEO,
an attention grab.
Just like
Hokett, just trying to put yourself out there. And like Hokett clearly, with like giving people the finger during the fight, he doesn't care about like being the heel, you know? Yeah. So clearly his like shtick is like, all right, let people hate me. That's fine. I'll get more attention that way. But I mean, now he's 10-0. He's into like contendership. So I think with one more win, he's arguably up for the title.
Yeah.
I think he moved into like the top 5. But the funniest thing is, like I said, the pacing was pretty rough. So it just was only like 7 fights and it took like 4 hours. So, yeah. And that's with multiple round 1 and 2 finishes. Dang. You know? So
what were they doing in between? Just running the same ads?
That's what I'm getting at, dude. So they start the walkouts from like the first door, and then you walk out from the White House to the claw thing and you go fight. And then it just seemed like they were like unlocking levels to the White House and moving these guys deeper and deeper into the belly of the beast. So the main event walkouts are like a mile long. Oh, and you're just watching this dude walk out, you know? But where it was cool, and we're both like super supportive of veterans and that kind of thing, is they were doing like Medal of Honor recipients and then like either firemen or police or something to walk out with the fighters. Cool. So there was like 101-year-old dude in like a wheelchair with his like Medal of Honor thing on him, and they're wheeling him out next to what I can't remember which fighter. Yeah. But I like that stuff. That's cool. Know, showing respect to people that you know, went into the military regardless of what they were sent to go do. Just, you know, there's some selflessness, I think, in doing that stuff. And I did like that. It was, I think, on another note, talking about like cinematography and stuff, in the build up before the fights start, they get the flyover, right?
Heard good things.
And again, taking out the politics of the whole thing, just the human effort it took to put this card together, of how many different organizations and people were working together. They were able to set up the shot where it's like Trump and Dana White with the flyover. They're standing at the White House looking out at the fucking octagon as the flyover hits. And I'm like, man, somebody planned this shot
Yeah.
and take out like any
100%.
political thing out of this and just look at it from the videography side, like it was timed perfectly and executed. And as far as I could tell, production wise, I think they had a few errors, but it was pretty flawless. And
Sick.
I think we both like respect that game, and
Yeah.
it made me realize like just the difference between the UFC MMA production team versus like maybe the UFC BJJ production team. That like the UFC probably keeps their best people for the MMA because
I mean,
they went to one of the toughest places under inclement weather, and production wise absolutely crushed it. So
yeah.
it was really cool to see. I don't necessarily need to see more like USA
more.
street beefs at the
Yeah.
White House, you know. It's so funny to me too. Like I grew up watching like Jorge Masvidal and like these guys in Florida like backyard fighting. We're just doing it on the White House lawn to celebrate the 250th birthday of the country. It's like it kind of fits.
How does holding sanctioned fights work outside of like certain places? Because I feel like I don't really know a whole lot about this, but I feel like they do it in Vegas a lot because it's like more official for various organizations or something. Like they can only do it in certain places, right?
Yeah, I actually have a lot of questions about this myself. I need to do like a deep dive into understanding the differences between the athletic commissions because the UFC has their rules, right?
Mhm.
And they stick to like their judging criteria and a lot of the rules that they do, but they do need to have the sanctioning of an athletic commission. So in Nevada, it's the Nevada State Athletic Commission,
Mhm.
right? But they go fight in different countries, and like I understand it better at the local regional level, things like Fury, right? So there's two organizations that are running that event for Fury. Fury's running the production and scheduling the bouts and all that. But then there's the Texas State Athletic Commission that's confirming fighter safety, weigh-ins, checking like, you know, wristbands for the warm-up areas, making sure it's just the fighters, making sure that there's not like drugs backstage, all that kind of stuff. But what I don't understand is how much the UFC seems to kick out the state athletic commission's roles for their events. So like if the UFC came to Texas, the state athletic commission would be involved, but like it wouldn't be the Texas state referees that I see that are paid by the athletic commission. So I don't know. They seem to have some kind of autonomy above that. But like for this one, I did think about this a lot because it's in the District of Columbia, right? So I'm pretty sure in that situation, they could, especially since Trump set it up, like they could probably do whatever they needed to do to make the fight happen. But it is the athletic commission things and sanctioned fights does interest me, and I don't understand how we always have the same refs because it seems more like the refs work for the UFC rather than an athletic commission. But at the local level, you can't just be a promoter and hire your own refs. You get the athletic commission refs. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, they only have UFC events in certain places, like a pretty limited amount of places, right? They don't have UFC fights everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, going back in time, this is why fights in general were on like Indian reservations.
Yeah,
because it was a way to get away from state athletic commission laws and stuff like that. And you know, that's where I'm trying to think of things in like our more recent jiu-jitsu world. But like combat jiu-jitsu, for example, is done in Mexico. Because I believe in America, we just don't have like the infrastructure to handle it because it needs to be sanctioned. Because like, you know, that jiu-jitsu doesn't need to be sanctioned, right? We could do a jiu-jitsu match in the backyard, whatever, right? But the striking, the state seems to have the problem with. So for combat jiu-jitsu, I would love to talk to Eddie Bravo about this and understand the specifics, but I just don't think you can get it sanctioned. And I don't see a state athletic commission that would even know how to sanction it.
Does Eddie Bravo run combat jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
So he runs combat jiu-jitsu and EBI?
Yeah. Which, you know, he hasn't been pushing either event, but I think his problem is like the athletic commissions and other issues like that. I think the EBI is more of like a streaming rights issue because EBI I think in the past was like with UFC Fight Pass, and then they kind of switched that whole thing up with the UFC BJJ, so they're not doing as much grappling on Fight Pass. But for the combat jiu-jitsu, I know that like I don't think in Austin, Texas, we could do combat jiu-jitsu without getting sanctioned, and then I think maybe like dealing with the state might run up the cost too.
Is EBI annual? comp?
It used to be different weight class championships and stuff. They've kind of decreased their frequency pretty strong, I think, honestly, since the pandemic.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see what was that, lightweight in San Antonio last year?
Oh, yeah, I feel like
Was
it
it
last
lightweight
year,
or featherweight? Right? I think it was featherweight, right? 145?
Something like that.
Yeah, because Landon Elmore, Grayson, I think all those guys are 145. Dude, so I am going to switch us to a heavier topic. Which
claw.
I think the claw. I feel like this is one of those where I can kind of fill you in on a little bit more backstory just on this whole Melqui and Mica Galvão. I really shouldn't include Mica, but he's having to deal with his ramifications.
Yeah.
But I also feel like before we even get into that, like, what do you even know about Mica Galvão?
Not much. Wait, about Mica?
Yeah. We've watched him compete in some major stuff.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty good.
Yeah.
seems to be pretty good. I think I remember he got like popped for some steroid usage at some point a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I guess whatever ramifications of that have passed and he's back competing again, right? But yeah, I don't know, not much.
Yeah, I think where
seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, so he's done some really incredible things in the sport of jiu-jitsu. Him and his teammate Diogo Reis have both, while being teammates, won a Grand Slam, an IBJJF Grand Slam. So like Pan Am's, Worlds, Euros, Brazilian Nationals, and you'd like do that in the same season.
4.
Yeah. And then I think they even won like an absolute within that too. But where I am getting at with how it relates to us and our team is that I think Andrew, William, and Cody all have had matches against Mica.
Yeah.
And he like has defeated all of them. So guys that we, train with, respect, our coaches that are extremely high level guys, he took out our whole team. At like the point where the team was like rising to the top,
Let me at him.
And, with the
I'm up next.
Yeah. That's awesome. Dude, the Cody match was just because nobody would fight the dude because he was taking out everybody. So I guess my context for it was that there was just this hot streak right around the pandemic. He was 18-ish. Yeah, it would have been like 17 at 2020, I want to say.
Yeah.
And dude, he was just taking out everybody.
Yeah.
And he just looked truly unstoppable there for a little while. And he just was able to I know he got some kind of a contract with Flow Grappling. So he was getting like really good pay and getting a lot of matches from Flow Grappling, starts beating people. And, I think just the athletes were like, yeah, if I'm not up and comer and I'm trying to pave my way and I know I'm going to lose to this guy, maybe I don't take the fight so I can get some other matches and keep building myself up.
I get that, but it kind of sucks.
Cody. Cody's not afraid of anything. So Cody took a Flow Grappling match against Mica at one point. And I think it was not that they were knocking Cody. I just don't think Cody was the first offer for Flow Grappling looking for Mika's opponent, but I think he was someone that was like, yeah, I'll show up. I'll put on a good match and I'm ready to go. And honestly, Cody almost foot swept him. He had some good attacks on him. I think just this hot streak that Mica had, it went on for years, and he was extremely dominant, not only taking out the guys from Fight Factory, but a ton of other entire teams too. So that's kind of your context. He's one of the greats, and at Fight Factory, we've kind of had some crossover with a lot of people that trained in and around Mica's camp, and especially with Rodrigo being Brazilian, there's some mutual friends kind of in there. So, I remember Rodrigo being like, man, this guy Melqui Galvão, he's an incredible coach. He's training this kid Mica and his other teammates. They're all, getting these incredible results in tournaments. I didn't think much about it at the time. And then I guess I'll just kind of fast forward to this spring, in the end of April, the Sao Paulo court issues an arrest order for Melqui Galvão. This was after a 17-year-old accuser went with him. So like, I guess an athlete of him, they went to Rome. We could look at it, but there was probably like a Euros or something going on in Italy. And apparently he like assaulted an athlete there. Quickly became just like every time one of these jiu-jitsu coaches gets accused of mistreating people, then there's a bunch of other allegations. So I think now it's up to like 7. I'm not 100% sure of all of it, all the specifics on it. But he got taken to jail. I never fully understood it, but there's like this leaked audio of a phone call where someone smuggled him in a phone. And then while he was in jail, he's like trying to, like, he admits some of the stuff that what he did was wrong. He's trying to like pay people off and like get them either to America or buy them a gym or something like that. And it sucks because Mica has like, besides the clomiphene where he got popped for the drugs and he won the IBJJF Worlds.
Is that what steroids is?
It's a performance enhancing drug that's banned by most, organizations that test. So Mica wins Worlds. He's on Clomid. He gets the world title taken away, and it's given to Cade Rotolo, I want to say, is who he beat in the final match. And I know I'm going off on a small tangent, but to the point of the steroids, Mica was like 19 or so at the time. In clomiphene or Clomid is something that men and women can both take. For men, I believe it's like stimulating your hypothalamus, whatever keeps your balls producing testosterone. So it can be for people that are trying to like have kids or guys that have like hypogonadism, which like Mica could have totally just had regular old hypogonadism, but that also could come from when you take exogenous testosterone or other similar substances that's going to deplete your body's natural production. So basically it's a drug that you can take that will keep your balls turned on, even if you're taking exogenous other hormones. But what was just interesting in that moment, there is a video of Ty going up to Cade, giving him a hug after he loses in the final. He's like, "You're the only natural one out here.
Yeah.
You're the only natural one out here." So that did validate that the Rotolos were correct in their assessment that they were the only natural ones out there, which they've never had any kind of accusations. So anyway, Melqui goes to jail. He's in Brazil. Feel terrible for Mica because besides the Clomid incident, he's just kind of a sweetheart kid. I've met him multiple times being at ADCCs and different things like that. He is like calm and quiet and extremely polite. He'll like smile super big when he shakes your hand, and just imagine being a young kid and whatever he dealt with his dad throughout this whole process, where his dad was kind of living this dual life thing, but we've talked a lot about how I'm very forgiving to like young men when they're in like impressionable situations. And it's like, this is his own dad. Yeah. So I would heavily suspect that the Clomid was not Mica's 19-year-old decision by himself.
Choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And who knows about choice, but definitely there was some influence there.
Yeah.
All while being a part of the civil police in the Amazonas region in Brazil. So Melqui. So Melqui, he didn't even start jiu-jitsu until like later. He got his black belt in 2014. So I think for him, it was like a little bit later in life, not like Mica seemingly growing up, doing tons of jiu-jitsu, but he's like an elite police officer. And I'm sure with like the jiu-jitsu training, there's probably some place where he's either training extra,
like and Brazilian SWAT.
Honestly, dude, Brazilian police and military have some of the best like hand-to-hand skills I've ever seen, and I think it's because of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu culture kind of embedded into Brazilian culture, because they do some really cool like on dirt competitions and stuff with like camo sets on, and like they're doing real jiu-jitsu against each other, but in like military style competition. Is really cool stuff. So I just imagine that Melqui's in the midst of the jiu-jitsu world and this like policing world, and he's probably trying to just like maximize his training and be like this super killer. You know what I mean? And since then, like the IBJJF permanently banned him. He had like started a thing called BJJ College, and like this is just like the Andre Galvão thing. right?
Yeah.
Atos initially kicks Andre Galvão out, but then like a few weeks later, he's still
Comes
running
back
it,
in.
you know? So we'll see if BJJ College just completely disbands. My guess would be all the athletes that were like Melqui students just kind of drift off and find their own way, either opening up their own spot or joining existing teams. But I am at least pleased that like all the organizations associated with this guy just pretty much cut him off right away. The details of what he was doing are kind of unclear to me. I'm imagining it was like exactly what we're talking about with Andre Galvão, where you don't know the details, but you can assume that it was something like grooming type behavior, you know, especially for him. I think he had such a proven method, especially with what I'm talking about when like Mica was on this hot streak of like, hey, if you train under me, this is the path. Mica got a Flow Grappling like contract that was like a salary type deal, you know, and I'm sure that money back in Brazil would be life changing, you know.
For sure.
So he seems to be stuck in jail, kicking everybody. Like everybody kicked him out of everything. He's trying to get phones smuggled in to try to hush people back up. And I think that like at this point, he's probably just lost it, and we'll go through whatever the court proceedings are. I will say with when we saw that with Andre, this seems to be a much worse situation, right? Because this dude immediately went to jail. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying what Andre did wasn't wrong, but I don't think we've seen any actual indictments to Andre Galvão. And this whole story's kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if what Andre did is just like not provable in court or what really happened there. That who knows? But he seems like he's back at Atos. I'm interested to see how the community receives him over time, you know, because I think the appropriate response would be like a proper investigation. And if the investigation didn't lead to anything, maybe a little bit more discussion of what actually happened. But I err on the side of like, he probably did some fucked up shit and should probably be punished for it. But I also believe in the court of law. And it's like, what are we going to do here? Do we kick him out of jiu-jitsu forever? That seems like the safer bet. You know, we just don't really need him. Yeah. And this same conflict, like I talked about this with that example and how we may have to accept dealing with like not the best coaching in the world if we want to get rid of these shitty people. And however high you put Andre Galvão as a coach, you got to keep Melqui Galvão like right up next to him. Mm-hmm. I think for different reasons you could put them above or below each other. Mm-hmm. And it just sucks because that list isn't that long of the best coaches in the game. And now we've got another one that's been proven to be taking advantage of his position as an instructor and using that to, you know, hurt other people and then using that powerful position to cover all that up, you know? And imagine we've seen this in just the jiu-jitsu space of what it's like to just be a black belt and to be like a gym owner and how much that can affect people's minds and how you can get away with stuff. Add that to being a cop.
Yeah.
So I think that he was very in tune with how to manipulate and control the outcomes of things, you know? So as of now, all of this is just like an indictment to him. There will still be the court proceedings in Brazil for whatever Melqui's being charged with. But on a deeper dive that I took, I realized that there's a little bit more to the story than just this recent allegation. And I say recent, this is recent allegations that it's hit the news and recently that Melqui went to jail. A lot of these allegations are going back at least, it seems, about 12 years. So I would say this was going on closer to when he got his black belt. I think in some of the things I read, I know that with what one of the victims was saying is when he was a brown belt and he got his black belt in 2014.
Was this whole time he's a cop?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we get into the story of Fernando Pontes. So this is in Presidente Figueiredo, working on my Portuguese.
Is that a location?
Yeah, it's like a part of Manaus. So Manaus is in like the Amazon part of Brazil, so a lot closer towards like the rest of northern South America. All right, so there is Operation Clean Waterfall in 2011 in, as I said, Presidente Figueiredo, Brazil. And this is like uncovering a pedophile ring of this guy, Fernando Fehugum Pontes. And as the story goes, there is a search warrant for Fernando Pontes for like pedophilia related evidence, right? But normally for like this kind of a search warrant, you're just like going in normal hours and like the cops go to the house and they're like, hey, we got a search warrant. We're gonna do the warrant. I'm not sure of the specifics, but this was much more like a raid. So Melqui was also part
You
of.
said there was like a ring. So
Yeah.
is it just one guy, or is it
Well,
like,
that was what they're saying
is
is
it
like
like
something
pedo
in like a
house?
pedophile ring, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a special civil police unit called FERA, F-E-R-A, FERA, that Melqui Galvão is also part of. And these are the guys that are executing this search warrant on Fernando Pontes' house. And so basically, they go in the house and they just shoot this guy 5 times.
Executing more than the search warrant.
They allege that he had a .32 caliber pistol that was underneath his pillow, and he was going for that, and the officers, fired on him in self-defense. That's what the police union said in defense of the officers. But there was another agency there, and they were the ones that taped it. So there's actually a video of this, and the internal affairs
A taping of
this search
raid.
Yeah.
Warrant.
And there wasn't even an arrest warrant for the guy. It was just the search warrant for whatever was related to pedophilia. So the internal affairs pretty much just called it straight up homicide or murder. That they didn't buy the self-defense story. In the video, there's no 32. There's a cut.
You saw it?
No.
You watched it?
Yeah. On here. So there's no gun, cut, gun on the bed. So my suspicions are that gun was not there in the original incident, right? So
as editors, they need to do better.
Yeah. Right. And this was shot on one of those handheld cams, because it's 2011. So Melqui and another guy get charged with qualified homicide, falsifying documents, and fraud. And then 2 other officers, they just got charged with fraud, right? And then shortly after this incident, the FERA, F-E-R-A, like elite tactical force also gets disbanded. And then, so I don't know what happened. Melqui gets charged with this qualified homicide, and I don't know what happened from there. So this is 2011.
Jeez.
2014, he gets his black belt. So somewhere between when I see him in the jiu-jitsu scene in 2011, this is settled. Maybe he got his charges dropped. Maybe he pled out something. If you're in Brazil and you know more about this, please let me know. A lot of my research on this was very tricky because I'm translating online Portuguese to English, and then any of the videos, they're almost all in Portuguese. So for my English understanding, it's very difficult. But as I could find, there was no like public outcome. So I think this was kind of hitting local news there as it was going on the charges. But by the time it came to an end, it's unclear what had happened. So all I can say is that he was charged with the qualified homicide in 2011 in what appears to be cops going into a guy's house to execute a search warrant, and pretty much immediately he's dead. And then they charge 4 of the officers involved with this. So I don't know the real story. There's like the street justice side of it, right? What if me and you find out that there's a pedophile across the street and we find out he just did like the most heinous things ever? There's a version of that where we just go mob the guy, like where it just pisses us off so much that it's like a heat of the moment kind of thing. And you're just so disgusted that maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was real pedophilia and they were like, wow, we got to just take this guy out. And it's still not here for vigilantism, but maybe that's what happened, right? Or like maybe there was another reason that they needed to take this guy out, So there's a lot of speculation. Again, I don't know the actual official outcome of like his qualified homicide and the fraud and falsifying documents. Don't know what actually happened there. He could have been let go completely innocent. But when you hear that story and then you think about the cell phone in the jail and the trying to hush people up, something's going on with this guy, and it looks like this pattern of behavior of corruption has been going on for at least 15 years.
Yeah.
And I would imagine sometime before that. And I just keep coming back to thinking about Mica, where it's like, so he's 8 years old when this happens. What's going on in his life? And then 10 years later, he's on Flow Grappling fighting against the best names in jiu-jitsu and absolutely dominating. So super impressive that he was able to still achieve what he did. I can't imagine what it was like growing up in that environment where you're training to be this jiu-jitsu world champion and then your dad's in this other world too.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that like hit him,
Well, and
got to him.
It's in like the hindsight, things start making sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mika's a father now. He's got a family. He's got a wife who's like an American wrestler champion, and then their child, right? And this may be super petty, but when Mica and Amit, his wife, both like made public statements, and I could really tell on his wife's that she was very much affected by Melqui. Like I could tell that she's the outsider American girl, taking away his son. Because I do think, regardless of all this, I think Melqui and Mica had a very close relationship, right? Yeah. And I'm assuming that in a classic toxic, manipulative, controlling environment, that Melqui probably looked at Amit as like a threat, So point that I'm getting to is at some point they like had a public breakup on Instagram and like uncollab on all these posts and stuff. And I never took it as like Mica and Amit's relationship not really working out. I took it as like, oh man, like Melqui's in there and he's telling them that they shouldn't be together or whatever, And then she mentioned something else about, I think it had to do with like the citizenship of this kid. But I think Melqui was trying to like convince them to move to Brazil and have the kid in Brazil. And she's like, no, I want to have this kid in America. So I think that there was a lot of stress involved with that. And as it comes full circle and this finally came out, Mika's with her. So I think that time when they were broken up was when Melqui still probably had more control over him. Mm-hmm. And then now you can see that he's finally able to kind of be free and on his own, doing his own thing.
So I guess they're together and I assume they're living in America?
Yeah. Things seem good.
Yeah.
They're like a super cute, like content couple now. So they're always making like little skit videos and it's pretty funny.
Love that.
And they're both such freak athletes that like I see that stuff and I'm like, oh, maybe they're both like kind of retiring and just doing family. No, they're like both still competing. So
where are they like living or based out of?
I have no idea right now. No. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's tough for them. Mica was a part of, that first they were associated with fight sports, and then there was this BJJ college thing. I think there was another project in between that like he was a part of.
BJJ college was supposed to be another gym.
Yeah, I think that's like Melqui's team kind of thing. But there was a small point where you had, like I said, Diogo Reis, who won the Grand Slam, Mica, and Fabricio Andre, and a couple of other, like quite a few younger like juveniles and stuff that were all just like coming out as absolute terrors. And don't know what's going to happen with them. I think Diogo publicly left pretty early and went to another team. And so just point for Mica, like, I don't know how close he is with his old teammates, but at one point he had teammates and they were all successful together and dad's the leader of the team. And then now that's all gone. So I'm sure he's got a lot of rebuilding to do to figure out how.
Yeah, I wonder where he's training now. And who he's training with.
Who's going to coach? Who can coach someone like Mica after all that? He's probably at a point where I couldn't see him going under someone else's wing in the same way. So.
Do you know where Diogo and Fabricio are?
No.
And who they're training
with? I could look it up. They're definitely not at the same spot. I think it was quite a while ago that Fabricio had left the team, so they haven't been together in a long time. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think for a lot of these Brazilian athletes, like I think they would be here if they could, and like the bigger name ones, I think it's like times where it's just harder to live in America visa-wise or something like that.
Yeah.
Because like we'll let them come here for things like the World Championships, but I think you can't just like
extended period
come up and move here. Yeah. But yeah, this one's so much worse than the Andre Galvão thing. I think like Andre Galvão's is worse because it's like in America, it's closer to home. It's kids that we can kind of like relate
It's
to.
like more public.
Yeah. And
because of like
it was
primarily
such, like,
location.
Avalanche of information that came out super quick, you know?
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
I think that with this situation, it's just going to take a lot more time to get to the full story. Because where
do you think
gets
that
really...
the story is still like developing and people are still trying to put it together, or has it already
I think
like
it's like some of the other ones where
resolved?
You know, maybe say something like this comes up and then we're investigating, we get a victim and we start doing the investigation on that victim, and then another victim comes forward, right? And so as I said, they were kind of snowballing in there for a second. So imagine just on that investigation side, yes, there's probably still some stuff being unturned. But then, like, kind of going back to Mica being on the Clomid, there was other questionable things going on around the same time. And I think that there's a lot of people that were close to him that, just like Andre Galvão, there were some people that knew. And there's some people that are maybe going to stand by his side through the end, and then some people that are going to like finally tell their story of what they saw too, you know? So I'm not trying to draw too much of a connection between this 2011 story of him doing his job as the civil police in Amazonas, but something was fishy with that. He got charged for some kind of a reason there. There was some wrongdoing, and honestly, with it not having an outcome makes me even more suspect, because I imagine that if played right and you are able to have some level of corruption, maybe you can get the charges dropped, you know? Because my last part of that kind of conspiracy theory is that the two of these officers that were involved with it worked as aides for the mayor. And then this guy, Fernando Pontes, his family was some kind of like political adversary to that mayor. So then that makes me think that there's like kind of a crossover of some politics, some police corruption, and potential vigilantism as well. It's hard to say. But I think when you just look at like, oh, it's a jiu-jitsu coach and he did the same thing that we've heard some of these other jiu-jitsu coaches. But then when you get like the cell phone in the jail and like him trying to quiet people up, you're like, who's this organized as a jiu-jitsu groomer? You know, this is like some real criminal activity. And then you hear the first story, like, oh, this isn't the first time this guy's gone to jail. You know, he's got experience with this to some degree. So I hope that we see Mica back in the 80cc's. If Craig Jones wants to come back, CJI. I have seen him at some UFC stuff, so I assume that there's been negotiations. Just to, clearly nothing confirmed, nothing public, but I know the UFC
like
BJJ wants him. Yeah, but like, man, that would be such a sick rematch for Andrew to get a title defense against Mica. You know, so I'd love to see him in UFC BJJ. He was just competing in the gi recently, so that, you know, he's still getting after it. But
what do you think,
guys,
the next...
dude? Like these, there's such a clear like pattern now where this play of like, I'm this wise coach and I can help give you everything because you have nothing, and like that play kind of works here, and that's kind of what Andre Galvão did, right? Like, I'll give you sponsors, I'll take you to tournaments, that kind of stuff. But I think it speaks a little bit differently in Brazil, right? My argument is that, like, if you can offer someone a real career, move to America, maybe have a gym one day, and you're saying that to a Brazilian, I think you have even more leverage over them to manipulate them. And if I'm the young Brazilian kid, I'm like, dude, I'll do whatever it takes if I want to chase my dreams like that. So it just seems like this guy developed some kind of playbook for that and, you know, applied it to whoever around him.
Don't say game plan.
No, but just like, it just seems like he, you know, with Mica, it's like his son. So he probably just wanted what's best for him, wanted him to be successful. And then I always had suspicions of like some toxic nature around it because like even ADCC Worlds 2022, there was just like some weirdness between the team where it was like, you could see that Melqui was like this father figure to the guys, but it also looked like everyone's like vying for enough of dad's attention, you know?
Damn.
So jiu-jitsu coaches, stop fucking doing this shit. Obviously, I don't think most jiu-jitsu coaches are like also cops that are also like going and executing people in their underwear. But there's this power play thing of like, oh, I'm so wise and I can help you, and if you just listen to me, like, you'll have everything you want. And then at some point, that favor's got to get cash back in, and who knows what this fucking guy is doing.
Yeah. What do you think the next event will be that we see Mica compete at?
I don't know, man. I've been thinking a lot about like just the criticism that Andrew and William had during their like signing with the UFC BJJ, where everyone's like, don't do this exclusive contract because there's other organizations that you can negotiate with one off to go compete on, and you could make more per fight being more of a free agent than you could on an exclusive contract, right? My problem that's really come up with this
Fuck.
dude's dying over here. Is it a lat?
I need some electrolytes. Okay. All right. We're good.
Where was that?
William and Andrew, one-off fights versus contracts. But the thing with the contracts is you have security with a contract, and the one-off fights you have potential to make more, but you also have high potential to make nothing.
Here's my problem. Right before that argument really got pushed, Flow Grappling was hosting events. Grapple Fest was hosting events and flying Americans across the Atlantic to compete in Grapple Fest. You have maybe main character wasn't like having that many of the high level guys on making big paydays, but there was still main character, top couple matches, getting paid options to go compete. I can't even really think off the top of my head, but there was the CJI opportunities seemingly coming once a year. ADCC increased pay because of CJI. So I got the argument right around 2025. Oh yeah, there's some stuff out there. But now we're halfway through 2026. Flow Grappling's done one event this year. It was also like the juvenile youth bracket, right? So
what event was it?
The one that we shot at.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right? So they've done one event, and it was like 8 of the athletes were in the bracket together, and they were like basically juveniles, right?
Yeah.
And then that's all they've done. And there wasn't like big names on that card. So my point is, if you took advice 2 years ago of not signing exclusive contracts and be a free agent, where are you supposed to be competing right now and making this money? Because there's a lot of people that have said no to UFC BJJ contracts so that they can make more. But my question is, I watch every jiu-jitsu event I can, and there's just not that many happening, Yeah. So I just don't understand the argument. I would assume that the problem with UFC BJJ and Mica Galvão is that Mica's valuable. So he should be going in there with previous status quo precedents from his other contracts. He's probably asking for a lot. They probably see that as like, man, we don't even pay our MMA guys this much, So he's an expensive addition for them. But man, he would be so worth it because that's like a real respected jiu-jitsu competitor that everyone wants to see, So I would guess that it's pretty likely he'd probably go to UFC BJJ eventually when they can negotiate something that's fair for both. Craig Jones loves being chaotic, and CJI 3 is canceled. CJI 3 is back. His most recent one is that B team is back, and he's going to do a new B team.
He said I saw he said it was canceled, but now he says it's back.
For CJI 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. He said it was canceled, and he posted something else kind of hinting at maybe he will do it. It's unreliable, right? If you take Craig's own advice of like not signing these exclusive contracts because you're such a valuable grappler and you can negotiate on your own terms, just Craig, where's the event?
But at the same time, they're not saying to not do UFC BJJ. They're saying not to sign an exclusive contract with UFC BJJ, which means that there are options to do one-offs with them. Is that correct? For sure.
But that's less interesting to the UFC as well, So why would they want to pay you more for a one contract fight than if they could get you in for less on multiple? Yeah. So I actually, this isn't even a knock on athletes not signing with UFC BJJ. This is a frustration with like what happened with the sport of jiu-jitsu. Clearly we proved it's not profitable to be a jiu-jitsu promoter and that we can't actually pay these athletes anyway. but I'm just like, I wish there was more happening. And I guess that's where I do become somewhat grateful for the UFC BJJ, because at least once a month-ish right now, we're getting their cards.
Mm-hmm.
And look, what they did, 9. Okay. So they've done 9 in just over a year.
Yeah.
That's so much more than anybody else is putting out. So at least someone is getting paid to grapple and I get to watch it. Because that's all I want. I just want more pro grappling matches to happen. But I think we've hit a point where the argument for the athletes that they deserve more is true. But the business is broken in that the promoters can't get enough sponsors to pay a fight full of good athletes. And that's why on the other options where guys will go into like a more mid-tier tournaments, the promoter solution is offering like a cash bracket where like, hey, Juice, it's up for 10 grand for who wins it. I can't pay you, but if you win, you can get 10 grand. So that's where you can get, 16 super tough guys to compete because...
And put on a good show.
Yeah, because if they're competing for 10 grand, that's enough to incentivize them to try to, go compete for essentially free. And sometimes they'll do like a small base pay in addition to it, kind of like how CJI did the 10 grand and the million. But that's the only other way that's kind of pulling in pretty high level grapplers. But that's still to a tier to me that's below the guys that have already made more than 10K per match, So I don't know. Now that I've broken it all down, it feels like we started paying jiu-jitsu athletes too much too quickly and then made it to where it was unprofitable, because that's exactly what happened with Gordon Ryan on the Flow Grappling events, right? Think of,
Is it?
By the end of his contract with them, they have to pay him so much money. How do they recoup that? I'm just going to guess. Call it 100 grand he gets for a W&O, right? How the hell does Flow recoup that? Plus all their other athletes on the fight card. They got 8 matches, 16 athletes. That's one guy. You got 15 more. So I think that Gordon deserved that, but it made it unsustainable for even Flow, because I don't think having him on was actually doing enough to make back what they had to pay him. So it kind of just proves that the sport is like not that like spectator friendly, I guess, and that we've seemed to hit like kind of a ceiling. And I'm very lost at what young, not even young, but just like up and comer professional jiu-jitsu athletes, like what even the path is. Because now you got UFC BJJ telling you to go pay for a UFC BJJ tournament. And if you win and if you do a good job, then maybe you can get a UFC BJJ match.
How do you think those events are going to go?
Dude.
First UFC BJJ Open.
Running a tournament is tough.
Yeah.
So unless if they have hired in really good consultation from how to actually do a jiu-jitsu tournament or maybe some wrestling tournaments, I imagine there's like a learning curve. Because it's like a lot of really boring tasks. Like if I worked events, grappling tournaments for a while, referee and table worker, especially in college. And if you get into the flow and you have a staff around you that like knows what they're doing, the setup and the teardown is super fast, right? It's like a bunch of ants. Everybody's moving. They know exactly what to do. So my expectation would be after a few events, yeah, they're probably pretty smooth. I mean, the tournaments are so much easier and better now that we have things like Smooth Comp, right? Where like the software makes brackets. So that part, tournaments in general, just like run a lot smoother. But I haven't looked into their rule set, but I think that's something else that's going to have to be figured out, because
are they going to have rounds in the rule set?
I don't think they're going to do rounds. I think they're going more sub only, but then it's like, all right, if we start getting into like, I can't remember if they're not doing points, but
No
based
time
off
limit?
of the UFC BJJ, no, I think it's just like a timed, but man, decisions result in like so many arguments.
Yeah.
And on a new rule set, there's no catalog of previous matches of what like precedents are, right?
Yeah.
So like the ADCC can at least show old match footage and give you good examples of how they scored things in the past, and even if it's different than how they would score it now. So it'll take a while to figure out how they want to score it. I mean, there was on both CJIs, there was a big shift day 1 to day 2 on the criteria and the judging. You know, like was it CJI 2 where they finally switched it to like a paid bonus for a submission?
Yeah.
So it was like a small change. But CJI 1,
that was CJI 2 of this like second day or something.
Yeah. But like CJI 1, day 1, there were all sorts of like scores not being consistent. You know, like one match being scored one way, another match being scored. It didn't seem like that was the same criteria used, you know, and then it seemed to be a lot more consistent on day 2. So that just shows you, even on, you know, what they have, probably 25 matches day 1 or something like that, they had to very quickly figure out how they wanted to judge it. And I feel like we've seen a little bit of that with UFC BJJ, you know. They got real excited with like trying to give out 10-8 rounds to me, which seemed a little easier than like a 10-8 should be super dominant.
Yeah.
But they were seeming to try to push a little bit more for that. And those are the things that they're going to have to figure out. I don't know what the UFC BJJ rules are for their tournament format, but it's like it's a hard sell now. I mean, they haven't done that much in the jiu-jitsu community to really like change people's opinions. And when the ADCC Opens came out, that was like a big exciting moment. I think that this pales in comparison to that, because the ADCC did the first ADCC Open in what was it, in the T-Mobile? No, it was at the Thomas and Mack Arena, because that was
the first ADCC Open.
Yeah,
what year was that?
2024.
That was the first one.
Yeah, because it was right before the championships in 2024.
Yeah,
right. So they get their first one in the venue that the Worlds is going to happen at, right? And they did the absolute division was like $1,000 cash or $1,500 cash or something like that, which Andrew went out and won. So, man, maybe I'm getting my years mixed up on some of that. But either way, the first ADCC Open was a huge deal. The following next like 12 were like once a month. I was a part of everyone that was traveling out to them. You know, Phoenix and Atlantic City, Dallas, Austin, whatever. They were super exciting, super high level dudes were going. I was going to Phoenix to watch a bracket with like Davis Asari and Andy Varela, you know, and they were having matches in ADCC Opens. I don't know if they're actually that true about like, oh, if you win at a UFC BJJ Opens, like you can get contracts. Maybe some of those caliber fighters will start showing up to them. But on that, all I hope for on that is like, I don't think you have to make like a closed off bracket where you can't sign up if you're a normal person, but there should be like some clearly labeled like, yes, this is the expert division where everything's legal, but like also pro. Like this is guys that are actually trying to be elite jiu-jitsu performers. I guess leave it open, kind of like how trials works. I just don't want a bunch of like blue belt dads trying to go in there to where we have to watch like matchups that are just horrible mismatches because someone wants to move themselves up to like a pro division.
But I feel like that's kind of a part of the point, yeah?
I guess so, because like what I'm thinking of is like these old Naga videos where it's Nicky Rod like coming up to his like first peak and prime, like when he was first, you know, really successful in jiu-jitsu, and he's just going against like some fat guy who clearly has not much experience, and he just fucking like mat returns him onto their forehead. And it's like, it's kind of sick, but like I want to see Nicky Rod against someone good.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. There's a lot to see how they play it out. At least the UFC BJJ has been consistent putting on these events. We've covered a lot of stuff about UFC BJJ, and we didn't do any coverage for UFC BJJ 9. And I think matchup wise, the actual matches turned into the best ones they've had so far. I've brought up to you multiple times the Rafael Fajeda and John Chandler match. Let's go white chocolate. But just the whole fight card seemed to be more even. I see a lot of comments online that for the UFC BJJ, people were saying like, oh man, it's like the winner and the loser in the match. It starts and it's just so one-sided. Whereas UFC BJJ 9 had a lot more
back and forth.
Yeah. More exchanges instead of just like a kind of lopsided victory. So they shout out to White Chocolate though. This match was insane. We're going to do a match review on it. It'll be out on YouTube on Cold Combat Science and Game Plan Audible soon. But it was like, to me, just like this dramatic story in 3 5-minute rounds where it just starts off with Rafael Fajeda just looking like Venom from like the Spider-Man universe. Like he's just such a slime ball, and he's just attacking legs, attacking his neck. He's just super fluid with every movement. And John Chandler's just kind of like MMA-based style, heavy collar tie, heavy underhook standing, and just like weathers this storm from Fajeda. And then at the end was able to tap him with like 2 seconds left. And it's just like, if you watch the whole match, you can't help but get drawn in because you
That's
can
wild.
see the drama in the match. In my opinion, if you pay attention, the commentary kind of helps too because they provide some context. But even just watching it on mute, you can really see
Damn.
this like wild, funky style of Rafael Fajeda, then eventually just get weathered by John Chandler,
yeah.
and he just stayed stoic and calm. And
That's sick.
I was thinking about that when you're talking about the Knicks and the Spurs. I know this is like a stretch. Sorry. But like, I feel like this is it's a sport thing. And in fighting, we like see the things that come out in other sports.
Yeah.
Where like, I don't think the Knicks were worried at all when they were on a 20-point deficit. Right. I think that just like an older fighter that can regulate themselves better, I think they're like, okay, like, the damage control. We can't let it get too out of hand.
Be all right. Be
but
all right.
we're gonna win in the end, and we're confident of that, even at the worst part. You know, and 100% that was what John Chandler did. He was down by 20, dude. He was behind on the scorecards, and Fajeda like visually had done a lot to him.
Yeah.
But then he just like stayed locked in the whole time, and eventually cracked the dude. And like I think he like broke him a little bit by just like being nonstop, one foot in front of the other, kept pressing forward the whole time. So.
That's dope. I haven't
Definitely
even seen
check out that
I'm
match.
Looking forward to seeing it too.
Yeah, we'll be breaking it down soon.
I feel like the breakdown will probably be my first time watching it, which might be good.
No, it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Because there's some bizarre things that kind of play out in the match.
And let us know if there's any other matches that y'all would like for us to review too, because I feel like that would be real helpful. Obviously, we have our favorites and preferences and stuff that we can look back on over, like not even just the most recent stuff, but like over like time and historical matches and stuff like that. I think that would be super dope too. But if there's anything in particular that y'all are looking at, you know.
Yeah, especially if it's like submissions in MMA, where maybe it's like a jiu-jitsu take on something that's not just straight BJJ. I was working some twisters this weekend with some students. It is just really fun because there's a Scottish twister.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, there's a Scottish twister in the UFC this weekend. So just kind of opened up talking about all the different twisters, and it brought me back to sending the group chat the video of Chen Sung Jung, I want to say. I think that's how he says his name. Getting the first twister in the UFC.
Sick.
And so twister's the Eddie Bravo move, a 10th Planet move, right? Eddie Bravo would be alongside Joe Rogan for all like the early UFC days. So Joe Rogan has his no-gi black belt from Eddie Bravo and his gi black belt from Jean-Jacques Machado. Jean-Jacques Machado's Eddie Bravo's teacher. I think Joe saying he has a no-gi and a gi black belt is like such a non-jiu-jitsu guy thing to say. Like I've never met a jiu-jitsu black belt that would say like the differentiation. But the point is that he spent a lot of time training with Eddie Bravo. And they both are kind of under Jean-Jacques. But Eddie Bravo started using the twister early in his like ADCC trials runs with success and like lockdown in his half guard sweeping style. So in the Chan Sung Jung twister, he's like in a turtle. He gets the twister hook in, and he kind of like, you can see this point, he switches to like the lockdown and actually trying to pass the arm. And Joe's just like, he's doing the twister.
Oh, shit.
And like Joe gets really excited about things that like his friends do. And so since it's like an Eddie Bravo move finally being done in the UFC, like he throws a fit during it. And it's awesome because it was just such a big moment for jiu-jitsu nerds like me who had been studying Eddie Bravo's books and like, oh no, this twister, this is legit, this is cool. And it's like, well, why don't we see it in the UFC? And it's like, all right, now we finally got one. So I'm a big fan of obscure UFC submissions. I talk about submission success rate and stuff. Like I think there's been like one omoplata in the UFC or maybe a few.
Oh shit.
But like it just kind of shows that in an MMA fight in the UFC level, you're just not getting that submission. So if you get it, it would be a really cool video to break down because like they must have done everything right kind of throughout it.
Highest sub rate in MMA, RNC?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, right. I mean, it'd be interesting to see like actual settled in back takes versus like choke success rates because I'm sure a lot of guys don't actually finish on the back. But yeah, the rear naked choke, I would guess that like the front headlocks and the rear naked choke are probably at least 50% of the pie, if not over that. And then a very small
little bit of triangle-y.
Small, yeah. I mean, triangles is up there, but it's maybe 10%, I would guess, and then very little on like there's arm bars, but arm bars, Americanas, straight arm locks, Kimuras. It's gonna be less. So there's like weird stuff that happens in the UFC too.
Darkroom.
Where like people break a forearm on a Kimura
Yeah.
instead of like a shoulder dislocation. So like sometimes the breaks kind of end up coming out kind of weird.
How many heel hooks are there in MMA?
I don't know, but Cody Steele's got one.
Shout out. Shout out.
I don't know. There's definitely several. It is really cool. This is something that we've been talking a lot about, is like these. It's just the difference between this sport jiu-jitsu. We play it all the time, play the leg locks, but like trying to leg lock someone when they can punch you is a lot tougher. And I think what Cody did, and not even just what he did, but his breakdown is actually what I think was the coolest, where he like grabs the wrist and pummels his leg over the arm. So he's like, this is why he can't punch me. And like when you watch the fight, you're like, oh, Cody's fucking up his leg entanglement.
Yeah.
And then when you hear him break it down, he's like, no, he was improving it to where he, couldn't get punched.
Yeah.
So having like an actual understanding that punch is going to happen and how to defeat it and then still get to subs is super cool.
That's sick.
Another dark topic, and I don't want to go too much into this. It's super brand new, but it does bring up something that is kind of interesting to me. And you know what? I'm not even going to go into the details of it because it's so early, and I think there's some significant mental health problems that went on with this case. But last week, there was an incident where a jiu-jitsu black belt was he was, I think, kind of torturing somebody. But either way, skip all that part. Just get to the part where it's a guy having a mental breakdown and cops trying to arrest him, right? And some shit went down. A bunch of shots got fired. A cop got shot a few times from the guy. But I think neither the officer nor the arrestee died, right? But what is just a kind of a mind fuck for it is arresting a black belt. That puts those cops in a tough spot because it's not just it was an armed black belt. So they're trying to arrest him. He pulls out from the waistband a little Glock, fires off a few shots. There's a scuffle. I think they eventually kind of everything settles down after the fact. But I think they had an exceptionally hard time trying to detain the guy. And I am the biggest proponent of cops should be doing jiu-jitsu. I don't know exactly what program they should be doing, but anytime a cop trains regularly at a gym, I think that's a huge win. I would love to see more policing doing more jiu-jitsu. I want more of that. Now, if all those cops were also black belts, would it really matter? No, because it's going to even it out. There's more of them. They're going to be able to control them. But it's one of those situations where it's more jiu-jitsu is not helping that much. Some people are just dangerous out there. And it's just sad to see when it gets flipped on the cops like that, because I'm encouraging the police to get more training and to be able to be better, to handle people with confidence, that they don't have to use their non-lethal or lethal options as much because they feel kind of more confident and capable of being able to control somebody. But when one of us jiu-jitsu guys gets out there, it's super concerning. And I don't have any solutions for that, especially being in America. This is a sidebar, but kind of relating to this, have you seen the man catching pole that they'll use a lot in Asian country police?
No.
So this comes from some of the samurai stuff, right? So just imagine a giant fork on a stick where it can pin you to the wall, right? But it's hugging around you,
okay.
And now with new technology, there's sick versions of it that they have a shackle. Yeah. So you kind of use the claw to shackle it, and then you can pull, and then someone else could hit you from the other side, and we start holding your appendages from far away, right?
Yeah.
But the reason this works in the Asian countries is because they don't have guns. So the cops are having to deal with knife attacks, and it's fuck yeah, dude, you got a knife, I got a big pole, my homie next to me's got a big pole. We're winning this exchange. We've got distance management, and we got little crab claws that we're going to snatch up your ankles or whatever, But then I'm man, that's such a good idea. That would be so perfect for these situations, except for the gun.
Yeah.
In America, they're fucking everywhere, and these cops are constantly going to these altercations, assuming that the other guy's armed as well. So my idea of the American cops all just practicing their man catching fork thing, it actually
I have never seen this.
Oh, dude, we're gonna have to. I'll have to find you. I'm gonna start sending you some Instagram videos after this. but yeah, just super tough situation because I feel like I have like the hot head as a jiu-jitsu guy where I watch like tons of police videos and like altercations, street fights, all that kind of stuff. And I'm usually on the side of like, oh, people just like need more training. But like, I don't have a actual solution for when someone's lost their mind and they're also an extremely high skilled person.
And armed.
Yeah. It's an extremely dangerous situation for those guys to go into. And I think it's absolutely miraculous that they got away and everyone's still
nobody,
alive.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was also like a tight, small house kind of cramped up in what looked like the kitchen, you know. But the reason I don't want to go into the details of this is because for the gym and the people that are more directly associated with this guy, I can understand what they're going through right now, right? Imagine if this happened to a family friend of ours or something like that. I think that there was some it's just so fresh. I don't know all the details yet, and I don't want to put on blast anybody that's like more associated with this person that doesn't want to be associated with them, you know, because it's just a little too early to say. But it, of course, and this is where it sucks for like, all right, what are our jiu-jitsu articles that are hitting the news? Come at me. Oh, Andre Galvão, grooming and abusing children. The next most famous Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach that's
not a good life for a jiu-jitsu
another
right now.
Grooming and seemingly like sexual assault or whatever. What's the next black belt in the news? Oh, it's another... Like, because the news wants to make the drama of what I'm talking about. Oh, it's dangerous for these officers to try to arrest the black belt, you know? But just once again, our only coverage is like these super negative things, which maybe over time makes an effect on how people kind of view.
I mean, at the same time, I do see, I don't think it's equal, but I do see some stuff online, maybe videos or articles or something about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, I don't know, practitioners, whatever you call us, weirdos.
Jujuteros, please.
Rollers, people that train, like detaining somebody until the cops come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see a number of stories like that, and that's always nice to see.
Oh, bro, yeah, dude, that's like,
and they're just like super chill.
And they're like talking to him, like, no, man,
like,
I'm not gonna let you up. You're
like,
acting crazy.
I'm gonna sit here. You're gonna sit here. The cops are gonna come, and then they're gonna deal with you. You know what I mean?
Dude, those are awesome because the dude's always like holding the guy in a triangle with his flip flops still on. Yeah. You know, like that's a real jiu-jitsu guy. He's not even wearing real shoes. You know, no, those are great. It's like,
could you imagine me in a video with my monsteras?
Yeah, dude. Well, see, but that's what I'm saying. This is kind of like the Spurs games pulling out a side of you. Where like I think if you had to detain the guy, it'd be much more like the Spurs Juico. Where like I don't think you'd be playing around if you had to detain somebody. I think
you're talking about like ferv and passion.
Yeah, you would be in control of that situation. You would not let that.
It wouldn't be like pitter patter.
No
hand fight. No. You know.
No. Dude, speaking of which, you did see Landon Elmore and Trinity Pun beating the shit out of the guy on the CCTV.
Sick.
Bro,
I was in that same shopping center. I was at like a restaurant, like
at the
same time. Literally the exact same time.
Damn, I wish you could.
Because I thought about it too, and I saw that store, and I've like been thinking about hitting it up.
Yeah,
but I was hungry.
What is it? Like anime stuff? What is it? What's the store?
Yeah, I don't even fucking know. It's just like I feel it's similar to like a Daiso, which is basically like a fucking Asian dollar store, but they also have like claw games and I don't know, random shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen this, it's security camera footage from a small store, whatever, and
Ebisu.
Landon Elmore's there with his lady friend Trinity, and in the video you can see the guy come up, looks like he says something to Trinity, and then smacks her on the ass.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I think she kind of indicates to Landon. I think Landon was a little bit already on it. And then Landon confronts the guy. And then the guy just swings on Landon. And at that point, it's over. And Landon just charges him. And they're kind of going like down the aisle. At the camera. And so we've talked about Big Slime on here. Love him. He's a super fun athlete to watch in jiu-jitsu. Been a supporter of him since he made the move to Austin, pretty much. Of course, he's going to step up and do the right thing there by like pummeling this guy. But what cracks me up about the video is Trinity is right behind him.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, this guy just does not know who he just fucked with, because he's probably thinking, oh, it's a white dude and he looks like kind of small because he's a featherweight. Like, I'm just going to punk this guy real quick. He didn't even know. And it's like, no, dude, you don't even know that his girlfriend would have beat the fuck out of you by herself, you know? And so then he's just fucking wailing on the ground and pounding. And then she like grabs his feet and she's like controlling his legs. So the guy can't possibly get up and he's just getting fucking
sits back on the heel hook.
Dude, I feel like if it would have continued on, that's exactly what would have happened. And that guy would have been like, every bone in his body would have been broken.
I was deep into my bowl of soup at Julie's Noodles when all of that was going on.
But yeah, do you guys have any street fights, CCTV? Send them to Cold Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. I will happily watch anything you can find online. I don't like to fucked up chopping heads off unnecessarily, like crazy war and gore stuff. But if it's stuff that makes sense to break down on like street fight, cop arrest, anything like that,
I would love to do some.
Send that my way. I love watching that stuff.
I am an avid street fight watcher. I love that shit, and that would be. I didn't even think about doing review or like breakdowns on those. Yeah. Some of them suck though, man. Some of them suck. Like girl fights, grabbing hair, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
bang. And like that's it.
The girl fights can also just turn into where like what we want is like a stage and 2 mano-a-mano fight, right? The girl fights, it turns into like 25 people fighting, multiple people on one. Like I want a good one-on-one street fight. Those are the fun ones to break down, because man, it's so funny watching all of like the chest puffing before the fight. Like algorithms got me. They know what I like to see, where it's always like the instigator and this guy being a total dickhead, and the other guy being calm. Like, hey, man, I don't want to fight. Just whatever. Leave me alone. And he's like, all right, you just punched me or something. Now I'm going to crack you. And it's just like clearly someone a little trained, or at least been in fights before. And it's just like a one-shot KO. The guy's completely like stiff on the ground or something. Yeah. And it's like, you started it, you dumbass. Those are the fun ones. Obviously, there's probably a bunch of horrific shit that happens all the time that, you know,
for sure
doesn't go like as cute, fun street fight. And it's actually just violence. But
heavy takedown or like mat return on cement.
Yeah. But I like breaking it down, because like my actual attitude towards those things is like a real functioning adult is avoiding this stuff pretty well. Yeah. Depending on what like city you live in and like the population density and stuff, there's some places that are gonna be harder to avoid problems. But so much of it is like start at the basic level of self-defense, like de-escalation, walking away, self-preservation, like just not even engaging with people that are acting crazy, you know? But then if it ever comes to like actual combat, I love breaking down, like you could do freeze frame immediately of like, oh, how's their stance? Because every time there's a street fight and someone's got a real stance, it's so apparent so quickly. Yeah, dude. And I love even people break down like the versions of Street Fighter stances.
Yeah.
And it's like how to not look like you know what you're doing at all.
Hell yeah.
But you think you know what you
Maybe that's the strat. You know?
I guess so, dude. And then you have like, I think the worst ones is when I get looped in by whatever algorithm hook, and then there's no fight.
And it's just
talking. Chatter and like puffing out chest, and I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Who posted this? You're the worst.
You're the worst.
Well, sick. You got anything else, Juice?
No, I got to piss.
All right, you want to wrap it up there?
Yeah.
All right, sick. Well, thanks so much for watching. We're glad to be back. Go check out Cold Combat Science YouTube and Game Plan Audible. We've been collabing on quite a few videos on those. So if you want to check out the classes, that should be collabed for the most part. And then soon we'll be dropping more breakdown videos and a lot more videos on the way. So we'll be doing these podcast episodes as we can fit them in, and then hopefully be back to the normal schedule in not too long. But thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe here on Game Plan the Pod. Check out those other YouTube channels. Again, I'm Cold Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. This dude's got Juico.skilltree.matspace. So go check him out there. And some of his other Instagrams as well.
Spurs in 2027. Sick. Game plan. Crispy. Love it.